Well, hello. This is RockSim Live. My name is Tim Van Milligan. Thank you for coming today to watch this episode. We're here to talk about the RockSim software. We have three different varieties we can talk about. We can talk about RockSim, Roxim Pro, or the Launch Visualizer. Those are all available right now. The Launch Visualizer is still in beta, so if we do talk about it, you have to remember that there are some bugs in it that we're still working out. But we are in a beta testing right now, and we are welcoming participants in the beta test. I got my monitor over here, and I am checking in, seeing who's here. There's currently 9 viewers. I'm just saying hello to Rosa from Ottawa. We got Stu McNabb from the natural state. I'm not sure what is the natural state, Stuart, but I'm glad you're here. Let me show you my screen so that we can be both on the same page. Here we go. There's my screen. All right, so let me go to the Apogee homepage here. So if you are new to RockSim, let me show you where you can find out more information about it. To purchase it, you would go to software and or shop, then Rocket Software, and then you would click on RockSim, or you could do Roxim Pro here. If you just want to get some information, go to How-To and Guides, and then come down to Software, and then you can find out what is RockSim. And if you click on that, it'll give you a long and detailed description of, basically what it does and why you might want to use it. If you would like to do a trial version of RockSim, up here on the RockSim information page, you'll see 30-day trial version right there, so you can download that. If you are wanting to get more information on how to use it, there's even more information available. So go to How-To and Guides, then go to Software, and there's actually a number of different tutorials available. There's the regular RockSim video tutorials. This is kind of where we point people if they're just starting with RockSim. This is the main stuff, like, video number 1, getting started by opening a rocket design. And then it takes you through more and more videos, like how to load rocket motors if you need a particular motor that's not in the database, how to create a new rocket design, how to do strap-on boosters. If you want to go really in depth, like seeing the archives of these episodes here at RockSim Live, those we do archive as well. Again, go to How-To and Guides, then the Software, and then RockSim Live Training, and that's RS Live Training. And if you click on that, it will take you to all of our archives. So, like, we are on episode number 30 today, and so it only archives up to 29 until after this is done, and then we'll archive it here. And it gives you the YouTube link to see the video, and then all the topics we've talked about, you'll see a timestamp. So, you can go here to this video, and then go to 50 minutes and 30 seconds, and it says, is RockSim free? And if you want to find out what we've said about that in that previous episode. If you have there's a lot of information here, and you might get confused and you don't want to scroll through and read everything. Here's a little trick that I show every time. On your keyboard, on your desktop machine, do a Control F. On the Macintosh, it's Command F, and then up here in the top, you'll see a little search feature pop up. So, if you had a particular topic in mind, like strap-on boosters, you just start typing, and then it will show you where on that page that appears, and it appears in episode number 25. So if you're looking for something in particular, and you can do this on any website, on any web page, on any particular, so it's kind of a search feature for that specific page only, which is really helpful, particularly on our website where we have so much information available. There's even more information if you go to How To and Guides and go to the Peak of Flight newsletter, and you click on that, and then come over here to all newsletters, because you'll notice that we are on issue number 553, which we just released on Tuesday. If you want to see the list of all the newsletters, all 553, or if you're watching this in the future, after August 6, 2021, which is today, they'll be archived here on this page. And this is a list of all those newsletter articles. And, you know, again, you come up here, you do the Command F or Control F, and you type in, you know, strap-on boosters, you know, you start typing and it will, you know, find all the different times on the page it was mentioned. So this is construction of a strap-on booster, and then you can kind of scroll through them. Here's how to do them in RockSim 7, but we are on RockSim 10 right now. So on RockSim 10, doing strap-on boosters is even much easier. So you don't even need to see what's here in those newsletters, because it's completely different now, and it's much easier and much faster. Let me go to the screen here and say hello to more people. We have the Stark Workshop, Alan White from Houston, Texas, Michael O'Brien from Mesa, Arizona. That's not a name I've seen before. Kevin's Models, Mark Sell from Parker, Colorado, Axomi M from China. Wow, somebody from China today. Before, I think we had Indonesia. Was it Indonesia? No, it was Bangladesh. Last time we had somebody from Bangladesh. Tim Kreitz from West Texas, A&B Hobbies. Mike Cook from Vancouver, Washington. Cool. I'm not seeing any questions so far. If you have a question on how to use RoxSim, or you want to see something done in RoxSim or Roxim Pro, or RoxSim, or our visualizer, our launch visualizer. The launch visualizer is, we announced the beta test last week. So if you come here to our home page and you go through these banners, if you just hit the left or the right arrows, you'll get to this launch visualizer. If you click on that, it'll take you to the page where we are requesting people to test this. The launch visualizer gives you a 3D perspective of your rocket launch on your launch field. And we are looking for people to test it out to see, you know, how we can make it better by fixing those issues that make it cumbersome. And so our programmers right now are absolutely fantastic. You know, we report those things that you report to me, and they fixed them like that. So like they're almost currently up to date. And the cool thing about it is they'll fix them almost in real time. So basically they fix them, and then you log out and then you log back in, and all of a sudden that bug that you reported has been fixed. So how cool is that? And you don't have to load any software. It's just logging into a website and then logging out and then logging back in, and it happens. So it's just like that. Boy, we got more people coming in here. We've got Copper State Rocket from Arizona. Joe Noble, I know he's from Colorado. Mark Twilbell. Hello, Mark. That's a name I haven't seen before. Karen Ma. Stuart McNabb is from Arkansas. That's the state he was saying. I am looking for questions. Okay. Joseph Dunning from Alamogordo, New Mexico. Love Alamogordo. I've been down there several times. Does the launch simulation have a setting that takes it past Apogee and includes the recovery phase? Mike, I assume you're talking about the launch visualizer. So I'm going to have to open up the launch visualizer and bring that up. And I have to do it in a new window. And then I have to change something on this screen. So you're going to see my screen shift here a little bit, because when I bring my launch visualizer over, okay, so here's the launch visualizer. And this is a web page, and what I've done is kind of hiding the URL. If you come to the Apogee website right here, and you go to the launch visualizer beta testers wanted, and you follow the instructions on how to apply to be a beta tester, I will give you a link to the visualizer. And then in the visualizer, it opens up like this. And let me expand it here so you can see it better. And I don't want to cover up this button over here on the left. That little button right there is the important button, because that's your launch button. So when you come to this website and you are not logged in, like Mike Cook was saying, it will end the simulations at Apogee. And if you want to see the rocket coming down, you do have to log in. So you'll see a number of locks on this screen right here. And that's because these features are locked. And we had to lock them because eventually this is going to be a subscription software, and we want you to pay for it because there's been a lot of development costs involved in here. So right now, like on this screen, this is where you would select your launch site. So right now there is one launch site selected, and it's the Southern Colorado Rocketry Club, and that's my club here, and they launch from Pueblo, Colorado, and here's the latitude and the longitude. And if you're not logged in, this is where you're going to be launching rockets from. If you want to launch from your launch site, then you need to log in, and then some of these locks will disappear. But not everything is going to be unlocked. The one that Mike Cook was talking about was ending the simulation after, when the rocket hits the ground. And that one is under the Launch Conditions tab. So basically, when you run the simulation, you run down these tabs right here. So like the one that says like the Weather tab. This is the simulation endpoint, and again you'll see over here there's a lock icon, so it's locked, so you can't change it like you can in RockSim. It needs to be unlocked, and to do that you have to be part of the beta testing program, because for the beta testers I'm unlocking that if they give us feedback. That's the caveat, is if people will sign up for the beta test, but then they don't give feedback, and so I don't unlock things for them, because this is right now in the beta testing, it's a two-way street. I'm giving you features that nobody else has, but in return I need the feedback. If I were to log in, see, as soon as I log in, all those things go away, and then I can say, end the simulation when the rocket reaches the ground. And then I can see the entire trajectory of the rocket. So let me kind of go through a little simulation here just to show you how you would run a simulation in the launch visualizer. Now the launch visualizer uses RockSim files. So you'll start by selecting a rocket that was created in RockSim. So I can either select from the database, or I can upload a new rocket design, and I'm going to upload a new design. And then I get a screen here, and I can click on Browse, and it's going to browse my own my own desktop. So this, I'm looking right now at my rocket designs, and here's the Apogee Diamondback. I got more designs. Let's go Aerotech Initiator and open that. And then you have to give it a name. If you don't give it a name, you'll get an error message. If you want to upload decals, those are called textures, and you would do that by adding textures. This is kind of an advanced feature. Most people don't make decals for their rockets, so it doesn't matter. So at this point, I'm just going to upload it to the server, and so it's uploading into the cloud onto our servers, and it says your project and simulation successfully added. So it also imports all the previous simulations that you've done. And then it will bring up automatically an image of the rocket sitting on the launch pad. And you'll notice here on the bottom that there's some text there. And this screen right here is like RockSim, and you can rotate this around using your mouse or the trackpad on your keyboard. So I can rotate it around, and what I'm looking for is this compass rose here on the ground. So this kind of tells me my orientation of the rocket sitting on the launch pad, just like you would do if you were at a real launch. You'd kind of get your bearings on the surrounding of your launch site. And so right now I want to know which way is north. And then I would come over here to selecting my launch site actually. And this should be unlocked because I am logged in. See, I am logged in, and I'm not being able to select my launch site. Well, anyway, so we'll go on. That's one of those things in the beta test program that we're trying to figure out why things aren't working when they should be. So I'm going to go to my starting state and see what's there. So in my starting state, I can change my launch angle from vertical. So you can see there down here, the rocket has changed direction. So now it's kind of pointing north. And if I want to change the azimuth, I would swing it around. So like right now, I am pointing east. I'm at 43 degrees, so I'm going to go back a little bit more up instead of that far over. And you can also change the launch guide length and the placement. You can give it a starting velocity, and you can change the roll orientation. And then again, I can change when the simulation ends, which I already showed you. I can change the temperature and the humidity and the pressure, and I can change the wind. So right now I've got a steady wind, and my wind is coming from the west at 8 miles an hour, and I can click OK. If I like it like that, then I'll select a rocket motor, and I can choose an engine clicking on this button. Oops, I clicked it twice. Let me choose like a G motor, a G125, and then I got to select my delay just like you would in RockSim. We discovered this morning that this is web-based software, so you can use it on your desktop computer like I am. You can also use it on a tablet or a smartphone. The problem with the smartphone is that screen is so small that this ejection delay might be off the bottom, so you have to use the scroll bars here on the side to get to it. So right now it's at 14 seconds, so I'm going to change it to something smaller. So I'm going to do something called custom, where I can type in a delay, and I'll go with 8 seconds, and then just use that. And then click OK, and now my motor is loaded. As you can tell, I've been going down the side of this column right here, so I've loaded my motor. My next thing is my flight events, which is your parachute. When does your parachute come out? And I have to use the scroll here, and so right now my parachute is set to deploy at maximum ejection delay. Remember, we just set an 8-second delay, So 8 seconds after motor burnout is when the parachute is going to pop up. You can see also we have started to load an earth over here on the side, and you can scroll it around. My launch site is going to be somewhere here in Colorado, so I'm just kind of giving you a warning. So the next thing is my data. This is my previously run simulations. You can rerun a simulation if you want. You can highlight it and hit rerun. You can also, on this screen, change your units. So right now I'm kind of in default English units. Although I've kind of mixed and matched. I have mass and grams. So you can change it to whatever your preferences are. So I'm going to cancel out of that. You can also change the columns here. The columns here on the summary screen. Right now I'm showing everything because I wanted to be able to see everything. So my columns, if I scroll across, there's a lot of stuff there. There's some things that we're still trying to fix, like simulation. This column right now is blank, so we're going to get rid of it. Don't let that throw you off. But you want to come down here to the launch button. So now we're going to launch the rocket. And it tells me it's going to use 125 credits. And I have available 4,980 credits on my account. You can say that's not a lot of credits. We're going to be charging by the simulation, and it's based on Newton seconds of power. So the bigger the motor, the higher it's going to go. The more computational time it takes. That's kind of how we're kind of trying to monetize this, or make sure that people aren't trying to go into orbit, because if you're going into orbit, you're going to need a really big motor. And it doesn't really go into orbit. That's going to be a common question. So I'm going to hit the simulate button. So then it's running the simulation, and it runs the simulation on our server. And it's not on your desktop, so this is on our computer. And then it's starting to load the background, and it's loading a map. And you can kind of see I'm scrolling out with my scroll wheel. I kind of lost the rocket, but here's our launch site in Pueblo, Colorado. The launch pad is right there. You have all your spectators there, people parking their cars in the back. And then we have the weather cocking cone up here. And again, all this screen is full 3D, so I can move it around, see the rocket from different angles. Probably giving you vertigo here, moving everything around so fast. The weather cocking cone, it kind of gives you a perspective on how high this rocket is really going to go, because the rocket is going to stay within the cone. But now the rocket is so small you can't see it, so we have a picture right here we call the mini view. And that's kind of a close-up view of the rocket, and you can turn this view on and off with the button right here, so you can see that. And now to launch it, I'd come over here to the play button. You can see that this is a time slider here on the bottom, and this is going to be in real time. So the real rocket is going to take 69.3 seconds to go from liftoff to landing. So the rocket has taken off. You can see there's fire coming out of the bottom, and now it's starting to coast, and it's coasting upwards. And let me pause it right here. The green line is the trajectory of the rocket, and the red line is a kind of a curtain extending from the rocket to the ground, and the red line here on the ground is a ground track. And so I can zoom this around, rotate it around, so you can kind of see the rocket is arcing over like it would in real life, and it's still going upwards. Let me continue the play. And the rocket is still going up. It's getting close to the top here. And right there, that green dot indicates apogee. And because it's green, it's inside of this weather cocking cone. So that's good. If it's outside the cone, that means the rocket has gone more sideways than it's going vertical. So it's always more safe to go vertical. So we want to see that green dot. And right now it's coming down, it's descending on its parachute, it's coming down real slow. The rocket is right there. I'm going to use the zoom buttons here on the bottom, and if I zoom in close, you'll see, sure enough, there is a parachute coming out of the rocket. So it is descending on its parachute. Let me zoom back out. And, oh, I went too far. Too far. This is the cool thing is, you know, you get the perspective on how high the rocket's going. You can see the mountains in the background. The mountains, as the maps load, it takes them a little bit to download. It's downloading in real time, but those mountains will get, you know, the perspective, the resolution will get better, kind of like you see down here near the launch site where the maps have already loaded. All right, so, and then you can, if you want to make things go faster, you can just grab the slider bar here and slide it along. Right now, this is a little bit laggy. We're trying to get that a little bit faster, more responsive. So you can get it down here to the end. I'm dragging. So right now I've dragged it to the end. So currently it's at a distance of 2,151 feet away from our launch site, which was way over here. So that's kind of, you know, and then to close this screen right here, you just hit the minimize button. And now you still have the rocket screen, but now it's in a minimized window, and you can get back to all of the other screens over here. Let me go ahead and check the questions over here. Kevin's models, can you change the colors and graphics on the rocket in RockSim? And the answer, Kevin, is yes. So like right now, we're looking at the visualizer. This is not RockSim, this is the launch visualizer. And how we design it in RockSim is how it will be showing up in the visualizer. Let me open the same model here in RockSim. So I am in RockSim, so you can see RockSim up here. And I'm going to hit the file open. And I want to find that initiator rocket. Let me type in an I on my keyboard. See if that makes it jump down to the I's. Of course it doesn't. Inator. Maybe it's under Aerotech. There it is, Aerotech Initiator. So I'm going to open that in RockSim, and you can see, do I want to save this one? I'll say no. Okay, so here is the initiator, and if I can look at it in 3D, and you can see it's all blue. So the person that created this design created an all blue rocket. And if you want to change the colors and change the graphics, you have to go to the individual components. So I'm going to go here to Rocket Design Components, and I'll start with the nose cone. And so here's the nose cone. I'm going to double click on it to open it up, and then come over here along the top to the color tab, and I'm going to choose a color, click OK. I also need to change here in 3D, so you can see now I've got a red nose cone, and if you like that color, click OK, and then do the same thing for the other components that you want to change the color of, and this will be any component. So this tube I'm going to make white, click OK. So now we have a white body tube, red nose cone, and then we need to change our fins. And I think they are white with red decals. So I'm going to make them red. Adding a decal takes a little bit more work. Okay, so now we have that same rocket here. And if I save it, I'm going to save it as a new name. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm going to put it on my desktop, colorized. Okay, so I just gave it a new name, putting it on the desktop, saving it. So basically that's how you do it. And then when you upload it to the launch visualizer, all the colors and everything that you upload will go with it. And if you had decals, that's a little bit harder to do, but that is also possible. Let me see if there's other questions. Can you change the color? We have Reactor Music Video Station from Texas. John Gavlik. You are doing the correct thing by having people debug the launch visualizer. Nice. Thank you, John. We have Marcel asking about a 2x4 rocket. I want to expand on the 2x4. I want to expand on that. I'm designing a square rocket with 2-inch sides. That's a little harder. We'll see if we can get to that. Ron from Eaton, Colorado. We got a lot of people from Colorado. Yay! Is Roxim available to buy like on CD-ROM disc? Says Ron. Roxim is standalone software to run on a desktop. It is available as a download, so it's a zip file. So once you download it, you have to unzip it. You could, on your end, download it and burn it onto a CD-ROM. That is totally fine. You could also put it onto a flash drive. We used to have it available on CD-ROM, but we have, how does Google say that when they get rid of something? They depreciate it. So we have depreciated the CD-ROM version. So we no longer send it in the mail. It is by download. But once you get it downloaded, you know, if you want to archive it onto your CD-ROM, you can burn it yourself. The issue we have is that CD-ROMs and DVDs, they're kind of going away like the floppy disk. So people have less and less of them. Karen Ma, can the visualizer simulate a rocket that has middle separation like TARC nose cones? The answer is you have to set up the simulation, Karen, like you would in RockSim. Let me take a sip of water and let me see if I can do that. We have Bryce saying, "Hi Tim, I'm planning on coming to the store sometime today." Yay! Yeah, you're welcome to come to Apogee. Our website, if you come to the website and you come to this, it says visit us, and here's the directions. We are open to the public like a store, and there is this map. Our building is a little bit harder to find because we're behind another building. So here is a map showing where our building is located. So here is Interstate 25 that runs north-south, and if you go north, you go into Denver, and you go south, you go to downtown Colorado Springs, and our building is behind this other one, and there's the name of the company that's currently in the building is Site 1 Landscape Supply. So if you have to kind of turn in there and find us in the back. We do have a blue roof, but you won't see that from the ground. So Karen asked the question is, how do you simulate a TARC nose cone that's coming down separately? So we have a tutorial on how to do that. So if you go to How To and Guides on our website, then you go to the software and you go to RockSim Video Tutorials, and you come down here, TARC tutorial number 3, and we uploaded this one in 2009. So this was over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we uploaded this video, and it shows you how to create a rocket that's going to come down in 2 separate pieces. I will go through that now. So let's take a rocket. We need to open up a new design, and I'm going to open up, let's see, I am looking for the Exterminator. rocket. Let's see if it's under E's. There it is. Exterminator Junior. Okay, so I'm going to open up the Exterminator rocket. And this is one of the rockets that we sell. Let me go back to my website here so you can see what this looks like. Okay, so here's the Exterminator rocket. And if I click on it, you can see a bigger image. So it's 3-fin rocket, white tube, blue nose cone. And so let me go back to RockSim. And so I'm going to look at it in 3D, see if I got this as a... Yep, so I've already gone and colorized it just like it is in real life. So what we need to do, Karen, is to turn this rocket into a 2-stage rocket, where the top stage is going to separate from the bottom stage. So from the nose cone to this ring right here, right there, the joiner body tube. So from that forward to the nose cone, I want to take all of these things and put them into an upper stage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Rocket Design Attributes tab, and I want to change this from a single stage rocket to a 2-stage rocket. So now it's a 2-stage rocket, and if I go back here to the design components, and if I scroll down, you'll see that now there's a new component called a booster, which wasn't there before. And I want to take everything from this aft body tube and everything associated with it, and I want to move it to the booster stage. So I'm going to do a right click on that and do a copy. So it copied all those components to my clipboard, and then I'm going to come here to the booster, and I want to do, can I do a paste? Paste. Yep, it pasted it. So I have another booster. So right now I'm only showing a single stage rocket. So I'm going to turn this into a 2-stage rocket so I can see it. You can see it added everything to the bottom of the rocket right here. And now I need to get rid of this section right in here. So I'm going to come up here to that tube. Where did that tube go? Aft joiner tube. Aft body tube. There it is, aft body tube. I want to take this one and I want to delete it. So when I delete it, all these fins and everything is going to go away, and then it's going to look like a single stage rocket again. I'm trying to click on this to make this make it go away, but it doesn't want to help me today. So I'm going to delete it, and it say, are you really going to delete that component? And I'm going to say yes. So when I delete it, you'll see it shifted everything. And so now it looks like a single stage rocket, but it's actually a 2-stage rocket. Okay, so now let's see. I'm trying to do this from memory. So I need to put a rocket motor in it. So I'm just going to grab this one here, an F20, and well, actually I can't do that because that's a sustainer stage motor, and I need a booster stage. Okay, so in order to run simulations, at least one body tube in each stage needs to be designated as a motor mount. Okay, so what that error is telling me is I've got a motor mount in the bottom stage, but I don't have one in the top stage. And I need to designate something as a motor. So this is telling me what the names of these tubes are. So I have the altimeter vent body tube, I have a 29mm motor mount tube. I'm going to say this one right here. Let's just double check that. Yep, so here's my bottom stage, which is a 29mm motor mount, and then I have an upper stage, my joiner tube. So I'm not going to load a motor into that tube. Let me see if this will work. So I'm going to choose an, so I'm going to load a motor into the booster stage, choose an engine. I'll just choose that F20, and I'm going to say 4-second delay, and click OK. So it loaded the motor there. There's nothing in the upper stage. Under flight events, there's a parachute in the booster stage, but there's no parachute in the upper stage. So we need to fix that. So if you're going to be separating your rocket, you need a parachute in the upper stage. So I need to find a tube to add a parachute to. So I'll just pick that one, put a parachute in there, and it's asking me what size. So I'll just put in a 24-inch nylon, and then I'm going to change the location. Oops. I changed the wrong thing. Outer diameter. When I changed the my descent rate by grabbing the wrong slider bar here, what that does is it changes the diameter of the chute. And I went from a 24 down to a 12, and I need to get back up to a 24. And I need the location slider, so I grabbed the wrong slider. So here's my location. I'm assuming the parachute is going to be out here somewhere. And so to move it over there, I need to type in a big number. So I'm going to type in like 8 inches. It's farther back, but not far enough. So let's go 12 inches. So now it's going to be down here in the booster stage. So right now it's only showing me the top stage. So if I put it here, I can see the booster stage. So now both parachutes are in the same spot. And I'll click OK. So now we have that parachute there. So if we go back to our launch simulation, and under flight events, I have a parachute in the booster, and I have a parachute in the sustainer. So under the events, this says it's going to deploy at stage separation, and this one is going to deploy at max ejection delay. So I think that's going to be okay. I'm just kind of looking at my other parameters here. This is going off of a rail, which is fine. It's going to go straight up, and I'm launching at an altitude of 275 feet, and there's an 8-mile-an-hour wind. So let me see what this looks like in the flight profile. See if it actually works. Okay, so it says crash. Right here, you can see that symbol. There's a crash. But the rocket is on the pad, so let's see what it does. Okay, so I'm moving this. Let me start over. Okay, so here's the rocket on the pad. I'm going to hit the play button, and this is going to play it in actual time. So why not? Okay. Let me go back up here. I'm just trying to figure this out because it's been a long time since I've done this, and I'm trying to do this from memory. I should actually go watch that video that I did. But I think in the launch visualizer is what Karen is asking. So I'm going to click cancel here, and I'm going to save this design, but I want to delete all these previously run simulations. So I'm going to highlight the simulations. If you want to get rid of them, highlight them, and then go to Simulation tab and hit Delete. And it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete? And I'm going to say yes. And so now I have just that last one that I just ran. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to do a Save As. And I'm going to put it on my desktop. Oh man, you can't see the top of my screen. Exterminator, I want to put it on the desktop. And I'm going to call it 2-stage. Hit save. Okay. So let me go back to the launch visualizer. Let me log out and try to log back in. See if I can get this done right. Oops. Refresh. Do I got internet? Yeah, it's just slow internet. Okay, so log in as me. Okay, so I'm going to upload a new design, and let me find that design. It's on my desktop. Exterminator 2-stage, click open. Oh, I got to give it a name. I always forget to give it a name. And then hit upload. And click OK. Okay, so it should load my design there. You can see it came in as, colorized, just like we had it. This is still locked. Shoot. Okay, so choose an engine. There's the F20. S4. Okay. So this is showing that this is in the booster stage because there's no motor listed for the upper stage. Under flight events, okay, so under flight events, this is a little bit different from RockSim. In flight events, we have when staging occurs. So you can see the device name is staging. This wasn't in RockSim, staging. So we're going to have that one deploy at maximum ejection delay. So it's going to stage right when the motor, 4 seconds after the motor burns out. But staging is really just ejecting. So now we have 2 parachutes, and we have the one in the top stage, and this is the bottom stage, and they're both set at deploy at maximum ejection delay. So now now I know why it didn't deploy in the top stage. Because there was no motor in the top stage, so there was no ejection charge, so it never deployed. So here in the visualizer, we can have it deploy at Apogee, okay, because there's no motor in it. And now when we launch, we can see what happens. Unknown error. Oh, that's unique. This is why it's still in beta. Let's see if I can do that again. Sometimes, see if I get the same error. I can't do it. Let's see if by changing a flight event, if that will change. No event. Unknown error. Well, that's how it's supposed to work. I got to get with the programmer on that because this is the kind of bugs that our beta testers are trying to find. But let me go back to RockSim. Now I remember what I was supposed to do here on this one. So this upper stage, there's no event. So the sustainer, let's see if we can deploy at Apogee and run the simulation there. Let's see if it doesn't crash this time. Okay, so it didn't crash. So that's a good sign. I can kind of see that already. So here's the rocket on the pad, and let's launch it. It's taking off. Okay, so now it's going to separate, and it coasted upwards, tumbling a little bit. Had a little bit of extra velocity there, and now the upper stage is on a parachute. So that is how it's supposed to happen. Okay. So hopefully, Karen, that answered your question. In the launch visualizer, there's a bug. But that's what we're trying to find out. Let me go back to here and see if there's any other questions that I can still do. Joe Noble says, Joe Noble is a beta tester. He says, I am still not showing any demo designs. Joe, clear your cache and see if that helps. There might be something in your cache that is preventing it. could you please review the landing point charting tool? Not sure how to get it appear on Google Earth. That's from A&B Hobbies. Okay, the landing point chart. Now that is a specific feature for RoxIm Pro. That is not in RoxIm, and it's not in the visualizer. That's a Pro feature. So I got to go to RoxIm Pro. So here's RoxIm Pro. You can see my name. You can't see my top of my screen. Okay, so here's RoxIm Pro, and I want to open a design. That was launch. I don't want to do that. Open a new design. Let's find something. We could have used the Avion, but let's use something a little bit more exciting. Not that the Avion's not exciting, but where was that Aerotech initiator? That was on my desktop. Colorized version. No. Okay, so here's the initiator. Let's load a motor. So what he's asking is, in RoxIm Pro, you can create a landing, it's called a splash pattern, and it kind of gives you an indication of where the rocket might land with things that you're uncertain about, like wind speed. You don't, when you go out and you launch a rocket, you can like have a handheld anemometer and get a wind speed, but 30 seconds later, the wind could be different, or it could be from a different direction. The wind is constantly shifting, or your launch angle, you're not exactly sure of your launch angle. And those are called uncertainties. And here we have an uncertainty tab, which we'll go through. So first we need to choose an engine. I'm going to choose an F50, and I'll say it's a 6-second delay. Click OK. Flight events, and we're going to deploy it at maximum ejection delay. Let's go to launch conditions first, because I want to choose a launch site. I'm going to choose this launch site right there. Click OK. So this launch site, holy cow, that's not right. It says it's at 21,000 feet above sea level. We choose something different. I'll choose this one. Okay, so this one's more reasonable, because I know I'm not launching. There's nothing in Colorado that's 21,000 feet above sea level, so something's wrong with my data there. Okay, so, and that's its coordinates, latitude and longitude coordinates. And the starting state, let's make it a little longer of a launch route. Let's call it 60 inches. And let's launch it at that, so just like on your launch pad out on the field, you're not measuring exactly, you're just kind of tilting it by eyeball, and you don't really know what it is, and that is an uncertainty. And then your azimuth angle is also kind of uncertainty. You're also spinning your launch pad around, angling it with the wind. So this is kind of like a compass rose right here, where north is straight up, which was 0 degrees, east is 90 degrees, south would be 180, and I'm kind of launching here towards the northwest, which would be, you can use positive or negative numbers. So this is negative 55 degrees from north, which is kind of towards the northwest. We already set the launch conditions. The wind table, let's choose a wind 8 miles an hour from the west. And so if the wind is coming out of the 270-degree direction, and it's 8 miles an hour, and now we'll change our uncertainties. And if you don't have any uncertainties, you're not going to get a splash pattern. So here are all the uncertainties we can change. We can, are you very certain your mass of your rocket is correct? So right now I have a 2% error in it. It's like, if I knew the weight of my rocket, which I can't see right now because it's off the screen, it's kind of like I'm not exactly sure what it is. And my center of gravity, is it exactly where I think it is? I'm going to say, it's in 0.2 calibers of, because I can balance a rocket on my finger. but you know, when you're out on the launch field and you're doing this, you don't have a ruler there. You're just kind of balancing it and you're just kind of eyeballing it. And so that is kind of an uncertainty as well. You know, is that center of gravity in the correct spot? And then you have your aerodynamics. You know, is your coefficient of drag exactly what you know? And I could say it could be 50% off. And you have coefficient of your normal coefficient and your center of pressure. And I'm going to say my center of pressure is also, you know, that's really the one that's we're really uncertain about. Even RockSim, it's going to calculate a static center of pressure, but that can vary as the angle of attack changes. So it could swing maybe a whole caliber. So, you know, I could put in a whole caliper of, you know, error right there. And then your fins. Are your fins perfectly straight? On this particular rocket that I have here, these aren't through the wall. These are surface mount. So did I use a fin jig to put them on so they're absolutely straight up? If they're not, you want to have an uncertainty there of how many degrees they might be off. So I could say it might be a whole degree off. And then you have your rocket motor. You know, rocket motors are tested to a certain impulse, but there could be up to 10% of impulse variability in a rocket motor. So let's put in 10%. And then is the propellant weight exactly what we think it is? It'd probably be pretty close. So we'll call it like 2% error. And then your thrust axis. Is the rocket nozzle coming straight out? On a rocket motor, I'm going to say yes, 100%. I am certain. There's no error. It's coming straight out. And then you get into your wind direction. Okay, so now we got wind, and it could, you know, that wind direction could vary 5 to 10 degrees. So let's put in 10 degrees direction uncertainty. And then your wind velocity. You know, it could be a range. You know, right now we have set it at 8 miles an hour, but is it really 8? It might drop all the way down to 5, and it might go all the way up to 10. So that's a spread of, you know, 5 miles an hour. And then your launch guide azimuth angle. Remember, azimuth is north, south, east, and west. Let's call that 10 degrees. We don't know because we're not, you know, do you have a GPS out there? You know exactly which direction is north and then how many degrees you're off? You know, this is not NASA. That most launch sites, they're not, you know, specking out a launch pad with a theodolite. And then your elevation angle, you know, let's call it 3 degrees. You could be off 3 degrees. And then you could have different failures in your rocket. And I'm going to put all these at 0. I'm going to say everything is going to work as planned. Okay, and then so these are my uncertainties. And then now you have to create a run of simulations. And this is what creates the uncertainty plot. And I'm going to do a run of, let's do 50 uncertainties. And I'm going to click launch. Well, let's first do the flight profile first. And it's running all 50 simulations. So it's launching the rocket 50 times in a row, and it's varying those uncertainties, but it doesn't tell us what's being varied. It's just running them right now. We can get that information after it's done. You can see it's running it pretty fast. Okay, so it's done, and now it's going to load in the launch visualizer, the desktop version of it. Okay, so here is our rocket sitting on the pad, and let me zoom out so we can kind of get to the lay of the land here of where this launch site is located. So there's the launch site. It says it's only going to last for 8 seconds. So what did I do wrong? Did I like end this at Apogee or something? Oh, look at this. The rocket went unstable. That's not good. Let me zoom in so you can see that better. So the rocket went unstable. It's tumbling. That's interesting. So it only went 208 feet high. Let me look at it from the side view. Holy cow, look at this. Our center of gravity is way back here. So how did that happen? Let's go here to mass override. Use the values below. See, that was checked. That should have been unchecked. See, if I unchecked it, see the center of gravity was back here. Now it's here. So, user error. So I'm going to run those simulations again. Just going to click flight profile again. It's going to take a few seconds, probably about 30 seconds to run it. So I'm going to grab a drink. 1 minute and 14 seconds. Oh man, so while it's doing that, I'm just looking over here while it's running. Bryce Dwell says, do you guys do stuff like BPS Space? Yes, we launch rockets just like them, and they launch just like us. Do we have thrust vector control like them? No, we don't. Still, see, because the rocket went a lot higher, it takes the simulations a lot longer to run. That's why this time through, it's taking longer than the last time through. But it's still going pretty fast. And you know, we're only doing 50 simulations. You can run as many simulations as you want. You know, when you do a splash pattern, you might do 1,000 simulations. That's totally possible. And the plot that you're going to get is going to be more dense. So it's going to look like a circular area. So first here, I just want to get a lay of the land of the rocket taking off. So this time the rocket's going 49.3 seconds. And let me see the trajectory view. And okay, let's launch it and see what's happening this time. You can see the wind is blowing. We have the wind from the west. North here is kind of diagonal towards the bottom right corner. And the rocket went off the screen because it went so high. But now it's drifting back down to the ground, and I'm going to pause it, and I'm just going to drag the slider all the way down to the ground. So here is the nominal landing point. And I'm going to open up Google Earth, because in this view right here, we can't show that splash pattern, but we can do it in Google Earth. And so you have to have Google Earth installed on your computer as well. You can see I'm bringing up Google Earth right now, but I'm going to go back to RockSim while Google Earth is doing its thing. Okay, so here's that last simulation that we ran. And then you come up here to this chart right here, and this is the landing points chart. This is in Roxim Pro. This is a Roxim Pro feature. You won't find this in RockSim. And then you come down here to Google Earth landing point chart. And so you have to have Google Earth running on your computer when you click on this. If you don't, then you can only do the RockSim landing point chart. But I'll do the Google Earth landing point chart because we're already kind of running late. So it launched Google Earth, and it's zooming in. I want to make this bigger while it's loading. Okay, so... Oh, okay, so here is that launch site. So there's a bug here because our altitude is way off, because our rocket, we know it didn't go this high. But we do know that it landed down here by these trees. So this is now Google Earth. Google Earth doesn't allow the visualizer, all the animations that we do in the visualizer, we can't do that in Google Earth. Otherwise, we would have used Google Earth. That's the unfortunate thing. But in Google Earth, somewhere over here off to the side, so I clicked on this column to show this column, and I don't know what that column is called, this sidebar. And if you scroll down to the very last one in the temporary places, and there's a little icon here, and I'm going to open that icon, and then you can see RockSim simulation. And I'm going to open that one. And you can see there's a whole bunch of things that it's not showing because they're not checked right now. So I'm going to uncheck this one right here. And then I'm going to check it one more time. And it should check. Come on, did I click on it? Clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so I clicked on it. Okay, so now you see all these points here on the ground. Okay, so let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit. So all these points, you can see it's kind of in a circular area. These are the uncertainty landing points. So the nominal landing point was this one right here next to the thumb. And then all the other ones were uncertainties. So something got varied in the simulation. So if I click on that, oops, it brings up what the errors were. So there was a propulsion error of 9.9%. There was a total impulse error. So that was the mass error. And then there was also a total impulse error. And that's what caused it to land at this point. There's also some other errors. Mass error up here. So if I would have went into Roxim Pro and I would have changed things to match it, I could get the rocket to land at that point. So it kind of gives you a perspective of, you know, if things aren't totally perfect, where the rocket is going to land. You know, the furthest one away is way out over here in somebody's backyard. And then the closest one was right here on the road. So that kind of gives you, you know, the trajectory is wrong here, obviously, because the rocket didn't go that high. And I'm not sure why that is. But that's how you do it. We've gone long again, as usual. I'm just double checking the last one. I think the surface level in the simulation doesn't correspond with the actual level. Yes, that was from Johan de Sloper. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. It's kind of like, why didn't it match? But anyway, so that's Roxim Pro. I'm just going to close Google Earth. This is Roxim Pro. We had RockSim, and we also showed you the launch visualizer. The launch visualizer is kind of taking what's in RockSim and, you know, that, and then giving you the 3D animation that you get from Roxim Pro, but it doesn't do the splash pattern. And the reason it doesn't do the splash pattern is, you know, in order to create that splash pattern, we had to run the simulations multiple times, 50 times for that one simulation that I did. And the more simulations that are run, the more processing time on our servers, because the launch visualizer runs on our servers. And we don't want to tie up our servers doing 10,000 simulations in a row for somebody to create a splash pattern. So you know, that would just tie it up, and other users would see the slowdown in the server because of that. So in the launch visualizer, you can only do one simulation at a time. And that is exactly the reason why that we chose to do it that way. We could have probably done it, but we can't slow down the servers for everybody. So let me switch screen here. Oops, wrong one. I gotta go back to that screen. Now I'm back on the main camera. So I'd like to thank you again for coming. We are giving away a poster again. We're gonna randomly select a winner from all the people that showed up live. You have to show up live to be eligible. We will pick a winner. Hopefully you are in our database, because we're gonna email you to get your address to where to send the poster. The poster we're going to give away is the X15, which you can see back over here in the corner. We are now currently selling these posters on the Apogee website. So if you don't win, you can, if you like the poster, we're doing 6 posters starting out: the X15, the Flying Machine, the Zephyr, which is over here on the other side, I think the Saturn V, and there's 1 or 2 other ones. I can't remember them all. Those will be the first ones. Not all of them are available right now, but the X15 is definitely available that you can purchase. So because people have asked for posters, and so we're going to try to make them available. So again, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. In 2 weeks, on August 20th, 2021, we're going to switch times. We're going to, instead of starting at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 12 noon, we're going to start at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 4 p.m. on the East Coast. So get ready for that change. I have a scheduling conflict on Friday mornings now, and so it involves other people, not here in the building. It's people outside the building, and I can't control their schedules. I can only control mine. So unfortunately, I have to move the live time to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will start on Friday the 20th. So next week we will still be at 10 a.m., but then the following week after that will be 4 p.m. or 12 noon Eastern Time, and it's going to move on the 20th to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So I want to get that clarification now. So thank you for coming. I am going to end this because we are way long again as usual. Very good questions. I know there was a question I didn't get to, but we'll try to get that soon. So I am going to end the stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go out and launch something.